Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica podcast partner, AFRI. AFRI is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. Hello and welcome, Malcolm.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's my busy season, so I'm really busy hosting conferences, running workshops, a lot of coaching right now with leaders. So it's really my busy season before the summer.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Nice. Is it the perfect time of the year for you?
Well, whenever
the best, not perfect.
whenever the sun comes out in Sweden, it's always a happy time. But it's I like having a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
I'm a person who thrives on momentum. And if I don't have much to do, I tend to go down in my productivity. And so I'm a person whose productivity is really high when the demand is high.
Okay.
And so I really enjoy being in that space. It really works for me. I get more creative. I get more energy. So for me, busy is happy.
It's good. I wonder, how do you prepare for all, because the workshop you're leading are big workshops.
Yeah.
And they are like a very tight schedule.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have like a bank of knowledge. And so when I'm putting together workshops, it's a lot of times like assembling Lego bricks into different orders and different structures.
Yeah.
But I have the basic building blocks all the time that I'm working with. And then I just move those building blocks around to make it work for the client.
So I listened to you many times, different events and so on, and you're brilliant, and the art of pitching, influencing, and also brave leadership. So in this podcast, it's for urban planners, designers, and people working with making cities. And a lot of our work has with pitching to do and influencing.
Yeah, definitely.
We need to convince clients, politics, and different stakeholders. So I thought like it will be perfect that I have you here, even if you're not architect, but you're a good influencer.
Yeah, and I'm actually really passionate about architecture.
Ah.
I've actually always had a passion for architecture. If you go to my house, you'll see lots of architecture books. There's Calatrava, Frank Lloyd Wright, Geary. I love architecture because I think it's one of the most profound art forms. And I think that the spaces that we inhabit, like the way space influences us, really is something that's always fascinated me.
Exactly. And I'm so happy to hear this from you. And this is the thing, that we are impacting people's lives so much, from like small scale to traffic to big city scale. So if we start with like, how do we influence when we pitch, when we have an idea?
So one of the things that I really talk about a lot when we talk about the art of pitching is to really separate what is the difference between doing a presentation and doing a pitch. Okay. Because I think once we separate these two, we can start to understand more where the influence part comes from.
Okay.
So for example, if I was to do a TED Talk and I just wanted to talk about the effects of urban planning on children, it could just be informative, and it's like, I'm talking about it, urban planning, children need community spaces. You know, it could be something, and this is something everyone should be thinking about. There is the call to action on the end of that talk is really just, thank you for listening.
Okay.
And the information is there if you'd like to use it. But when we do a pitch, there's two specific things that have to happen for it to be a great pitch. And the first is you have to demonstrate value that is valuable to the listener.
Okay.
So we demonstrate value. And the second thing is there's a call to action. we actually want them to actively take part in what we're offering. So pitching is sharing an idea in a way that allows the listener to understand its value, and it makes them want to take part in what you're offering. And so it's much more influence heavy than just a presentation, because we're really trying to direct the attention of the listener or the audience in a way that makes them want to take action after they've listened to us.
And for us, let's say as a designers, we have, let's say, drawings and the idea and the concept that we want to pitch, but we present it.
Yes.
So like we have one chance, or we have one meeting with our client. So how do we present and pitch, or should we just focus on pitching?
Yeah, well, you're going to do both. In a pitch, you're going to present your idea.
Yeah.
But the thing that most people miss when they do a pitch is they don't talk about the problem enough for people to understand why your solution is so valuable. So let's take an example.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make a pitch up.
Yeah.
So let's say you wanted to pitch an urban space that really had a lot of community spaces and allowed people in the community to interact and mingle together and see each other and have more human interaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if I was going to pitch that project and I'm going to Stockholm City Council and I'm going to ask them for 5 million krona, 20 million krona, 50 million krona, I'm going to have a really strong why for them to say yes. So my pitch would sound something like this. Currently, the situation is that in society, people are spending much, much more time online because not only has the internet drawn attention away from public spaces, there are actually less public spaces for people to be in and commune in. And the problem is this leads to a lot of tension in neighborhoods. It leads to less integration by the immigrant communities that join these neighborhoods. And overall, we can see that it leads to lower sense of satisfaction with the city and people's well-being, which is why we need to have community-based open spaces that promote both connection and community. And today we're going to present to you our plan for how we could make that happen. So what I just did is I really set the scene up before I present my idea about why it is absolutely critical to have community-based spaces.
Okay. So the background and the problem of before our solution.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have a lot of ego as a designers, and we think we have like the solution and so on, and we jump directly into a solution and just think about us, our design, and not so much about the client. Now you mentioned like the value.
The value, right? And we call this in business value proposition. What is the thing that you're actually giving the city that's the benefit of your plan? So the value proposition of my plan, my imaginary plan, is community interaction and interaction, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, and if the audience doesn't know that I've built my whole plan around this value, how do they make sense of my offer? And I think that every person who's selling something, presenting an idea, really skips over this first part. And when they skip over this first part, the audience doesn't know why your idea is special. What is the why of your idea? Why does it, what's the thing about this? It just looks like a plan with more parks.
True.
Right? And it's okay, a plan with more parks. That's not that compelling. But when you add in the other part about immigrant integration, community satisfaction, children's development, it starts to become much more compelling. And now it's no longer just more parks.
No, but it's
actually a great value for society.
And but these questions we maybe should ask ourselves in the early stage when we start design, before even pitching, because we need to work on these problems. or
And
solving
I'm
only.
sure you do. I'm sure you sit down and say, what problem do you want to solve? But then by the time you've got to the end of your design, you're so excited about the design, you forgot to tell them about why you designed it this way. And this is a classic problem in selling and presenting, that, you know, people go straight to the features and benefits of their idea and not really stopping to give the audience enough context for them to value the idea in this most full way. And this doesn't matter if you're an urban planner, you're an architect, you're a mechanic, or everyone's got the same communication problem to deal with.
And then when we present our solution, and how should we close pitch?
Well, the idea of a pitch is to get the person to take some action.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that is why you're pitching.
Like exactly that. Yeah.
And so at the end of your pitch, you're going to want to know what you're going to ask for. And I think this is like a little bit like, sometimes I say, you know, sometimes when you're pitching because you want to get married. And sometimes you're just pitching for a second date, right? It's like, okay, this went well. Let's have a second date and learn more and talk more. And I think that when we go into a room, it's really good for us to have a clear expectation of the outcome, because as the person who's in the room trying to make something happen, if we don't suggest the next step, we don't ask for a next step, we don't ask for something that we want to happen, then what happens is the process gets longer. And nothing, you know, there's an expression in sales, nothing kills a deal like time.
That's true. That's true.
And it's like the longer the process goes, the less chance it'll be yes. But if you can and there's nothing wrong with also getting a no. I mean, if you're doing a project and the client doesn't want it, it's better to find out sooner than later. Because, you know, you're not getting paid until they say yes, usually, right? So, or you're not getting paid a lot. So for me, it's just about at the end of the pitch, it's then saying, you know, now that you've heard all of this, would you like to? And then you can say, would you like to take 2 weeks to digest this with the wider team, look at this, and then we can come back and discuss more on the logistics or whatever it is. But it's really good to ask for something, because I think clear intentions make you more trustable. And a lot of people are really scared about appearing pushy.
But
the opposite is actually true, which is like, we're here to have a business meeting. And I'm going to act in a business-like fashion, which is, how do we move this business forward to either a yes or a no? And that's actually makes people trust you when they feel like you have control.
Professional.
And just professional. And you're not pushy if you're asking for a next step. You're professional. Because
this is I think, the problem many of us face, that we feel we are so pushy, so we are also becoming shy. We don't ask because we believe like they are the owners and they should decide. We are just like, you know, we're trying to be friendly and nice and soft. We just present and then like don't ask for the next step. Just like
but you can also be really soft and say, you know, what are your initial thoughts about the presentation? Oh, I think it's actually very nice. I like the way you put thought into this. Not sure if we can fit in a swimming pool into the budget. And it would be like, then you could just say, so at our next meeting, what would you like to, at our next meeting, what would you like to discuss? What would you like us to bring that would enable us to move the conversation forward? And you even just by suggesting and assuming there's a next meeting, you actually help them, and you say, so at our next meeting, what would you like to discuss most? Would it be budget? Would it be more detail on the time frames, materials? What would you like to know more about?
What if they say no, just like this?
If they say,
like I'm dreaming about next meeting, and
great.
And they just tell me no, there's no next meeting. How should I react?
We'll just say, well, I mean, obviously your pitch didn't go well. And just say, you know, thank you for being honest, that you don't seem to be interested. May I ask what made it a no for you? And then I've done this many, many times in my life.
Okay.
Where I said, what made it a no for you? And it's like, well, we obviously need more cycle paths. And it's like, we could easily add cycle paths in.
Okay, so
and then it's
never
like,
give up.
is there anything else? Well, actually, I think it's really good to not accept the first no, but because in the sense of, I mean, no means no in society for a very good reason. We have this expression for the safety of women and individuals, but in business, no means no to what is on the table now.
Yes.
Okay, it's not no to everything that you'll ever create ever. It's just no to what you just pitched.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, so I do this quite often. People will say, yeah, we looked at your proposal and it just doesn't really match our kickoff theme and our requirements. Then I'll say, please tell me what your requirements are. And then they'll tell me, and I say, no problem. I can take that piece out. I can put this piece in. We could do this. Would that get it closer? Yeah. Is there anything else you need in the proposal for it to be a yes? And they say, well, we also need some more like team interaction during the session. That's no problem. I'll build it in and we'll make sure that there's at least 40% of the time will be team interaction. Suddenly they say yes.
Yeah. So there is a hope after the first no.
Yeah. And I think it's, please just everyone, just in life in general, when it comes to, I've done this with job interviews where they came back to me and said, like, thank you for the interview, but we're going to choose somebody else. And I've come back and I've said, is there something that I didn't say, or there was something missing in my CV that didn't allow you to say yes to me? I'd appreciate any feedback. And then a couple of times they come back and say, well, you don't have any experience in this. And I said, well, actually I do. We just didn't cover it in the interview. And here's the things that I have. And I said, and what has happened twice in my life is the person they chose didn't work out. And they, like in the first few weeks of that person that they chose came on board and that didn't work out at all.
Okay.
I got the call.
Wow.
So twice in my life when they said no to me for job interviews, and I sort of followed up. And by the way, just one tip for job interviews: whenever you do a job interview, if you get no, send them a handwritten note. Handwritten note, like a card, a thank you card.
Okay.
And say, I just want to say thank you for a great interview process. I really enjoyed meeting you, and even though it didn't work out with this, I've done that. I've done that many times. And
like
people have stayed in contact with me and offered me other work.
But now it's 2025. Like a handwritten?
A handwritten note, is so rare that when they get it, they're like, it's like this.
Something very special.
It's very special, right? It's a differentiator. But I think as individuals and professional, especially as professionals, we have to understand that no is saying no to the offer that you're making to the person right now. That can change.
Yeah. I attended many events. You were moderating. Different scales. Large audience or small audience. In all of them, you were very calm. And I wonder, what is your trick so you stay so calm even if you have very important topic, very, let's say, high level audience, and it's a very to be or not to be pitch or presentation.
When I'm on stage and I'm presenting, the first thing, and I teach pitch and presentation at Berg School of Communication. I teach this at IHM Business School, teaching the art of presenting and pitching. And one of the things I always say to people is, the most important thing you can do, the number one tip for speaking in front of a group, be yourself. Because what I see happen all the time is people are really charming off stage and just themselves and natural and authentic. And then they get on stage in front of an audience and suddenly they try and be a professional speaker. And it actually lowers their charisma, it makes them more nervous because they're pretending to be something they're not.
Okay.
And then inside their head, they're having a dialogue about how they're doing it and what while they're doing it. So the most important thing is just to recognize your winning formula is you.
Okay.
The best thing you can do is just be Mustafa. And the only thing I say is you, just a little bit louder. Just a little bit louder, like a little bit more energy. Just add 10% more energy or 15% more energy to your normal personality when you're on stage.
Okay.
And it'll probably be a really good winning formula. And I think that I see so many people get up on stage and they suddenly they're this really stiff imitation of a professional speaker.
Okay.
And I always tell my students, there's no such thing as a professional speaker. There's just people who get paid to speak. No doctor ever pulled a baby out of a mother and said, congratulations, it's a public speaker. Never happened. Not once, right?
Oh, no.
And so I think, and audiences really crave authenticity now.
Yeah.
Like we prefer authentic to perfect. And I think that as well, if you're an urban planner, it's good to practice your presentations and be as smooth and confident as possible. But you're not there to be a perfect speaker. You're there to be a expert urban planner or architect, right? And so the people are there because of your expertise, not because of your presentation skills.
Or performance and
your performance, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, the more we practice and rehearse, the more professional we look, but also the more chance we have of demonstrating value and making sure the audience understands that value that we would like them to have, like them to understand, rather. Yeah.
So practice makes perfect.
Yeah, and I think also repetition is really good for just calming your nerves.
Yeah.
You know, I saw a clip yesterday of an actor who was just on this series, The White Lotus, named Walton Goggins. And he was talking about when he studied acting, you know, his acting teacher said, read the script 250 times and then just give yourself over to the moment.
Okay.
Right? And this guy said, is this true? And the teacher said, this is what De Niro does. This is what Anthony Hopkins does. You know, and then this actor, Walton Goggins, said, I got to work with Anthony Hopkins. And I said, is this what he does? And he said, yeah.
Wow.
I read the script 250 times.
Crazy.
And then I just let go. And then he worked with De Niro like 5 years after that. And he said, is it true you read the script 250? Yes, I do. I read the script 250 times and then I just let go.
Wow.
And I think that when you get to a high level of preparation, when you're in the moment, it allows you to be the one thing that really makes you look calm, which is you are present. So when you see me on stage, and let's say I'm on stage, I think it was last year I was on stage in front of 600 people and I'm interviewing the former Prime Minister of Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah, it's big.
It's kind of a big moment, right? It's a big moment for me, for sure. You know, this was the guy who was the Prime Minister when I arrived in the country. It's like, wow, this is like pretty cool.
Exactly.
From, immigrant to sitting with the Prime Minister. It's super cool. But when I'm there, the thing that I really want to be is present. I don't want to be talking to myself. I don't want to be thinking, oh, I should have done this. I'm really, really prepared. I'm really over prepared. So when I'm on stage, I can just sit down and be with Mustafa or Frederick Reinfeldt or, whoever I'm on stage with and just listen to them. Just quite often, I might write 10 questions, but I only end up asking 2 of the prepared ones because then the conversation starts to happen and I just want to go with it.
Exactly.
And so preparation also allows you to be present in a way that I think the audience really, it makes the audience feel really safe and it makes the audience really curious because they feel like you're really there with them.
Exactly. And you're like, as a moderator, you're the voice of the audience. So you ask the questions or
often.
And so on.
Yeah. And then you also have to, as the moderator, you're between the audience and the speaker.
Yeah.
Then you have to decide what's appropriate to ask the speaker and what's not. Like I just had the head, I was interviewing the head of cybersecurity for NATO.
Whoa.
Yeah. On stage.
Yeah.
And a lot of the audience questions were about Ukraine and things that he couldn't answer, like just NATO policy and, so I had to like filter the questions and move around them. And but I just, would say to the audience, I appreciate there's a lot of questions about Ukraine, but we can only talk about Ukraine from a cybersecurity perspective, not a political perspective.
Exactly.
And just helping the audience understand what is appropriate for the moment, making sure the speaker's happy and the audience is happy and you're in the middle and you got a technician in the ear telling you to...
Is it annoying to have the technician talking all the time?
Well, it can be, but it's also a bit of a safety...
How?
A bit of a safety. Well, I'll give you a really simple example. It was, I was interviewing I was doing a panel discussion, and then after the panel discussion, the next speaker was coming in by, like, online, by video connection.
Yeah.
And they were like, we can't get the person online.
Okay.
Right? So keep the panel going. Yeah, and so we kept the panel going for another 7 minutes, and then they were like, okay, he's coming in now.
Okay.
He'll be ready in 2 minutes, and then it's like, great. And it's like, okay, so this has been a great panel discussion. We've got to go to the next thing. We went a little bit longer today because it was such an interesting talk. Yeah. And then and then quickly switching over. So it's a little bit because if I'd finished the panel discussion, I would have then been on stage with 7 minutes to fill, which I could do, with a story or something, but, but for the audience, it just was smooth as butter.
That's amazing. Do you get nervous before you go on the stage, or now it's stage part of your living room?
No, because I'm on stage so much.
Yeah, so then it's...
that my nervous system doesn't have that. I mean, if I was to go out in front of maybe 25,000 people or like some really big audience,
like stadium or something.
It'd probably set something off. But audiences up to say 2,000 people. It's just no problem at all. And I'm regularly speaking, almost on a weekly basis to audiences of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And so, it feels very normal.
Your everyday.
I mean, but I just want to say, I just want to be really clear that I'm not speaking from ego here. This is purely my nervous system acclimatized. So I might have been nervous 25 years ago.
Okay.
But over all of those years and all this experience, my nervous system just doesn't register any danger. The only thing I'm ever nervous about is technical things.
Okay.
It's only technical things.
This is annoying.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes also moderate.
Yeah.
And I just find it's so annoying that we are in 2025.
I know.
It has to have something.
Yes. I've never had a conference where something didn't go wrong.
So now I just,
technically,
I believe that something will go wrong. It's just like be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
There will never be an event without any technique.
No.
And I wonder why.
I know. And I always say, like, it's 2025. Why can't we get a video to play in a PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Like it's only got about a 50% success rate. All these presenters get up and they press play and then the video has no sound or it's shaking. Or, it's like, my God, can we just solve this one thing? But I totally agree. Like, and I call this the stone in your shoe. There's always something. When I'm on stage, there's always something that is unexpected, challenging, distracting. And I call it the stone in your shoe. There's always a stone in your shoe, whatever you do. So, and I think the professional part is the fact that you deal with the stone in the shoe. Yeah. Every day you go out, you do it, and your job is to deliver the best possible result.
No matter what is happening.
No matter what is happening. Yeah. And, obviously your best goes up and down. It's not the same every day. But you do your best every day despite the stone in the shoe. That to me is what the professional part of professional speaking and moderating is. Yeah.
I believe in this as well. Like, because sometimes maybe it will not help the audience if we blame the technique or that we blame the organizer or we say, oh my God. Yeah. No, you should, like, we are one team.
Well,
even if,
team.
like,
100%.
Things happen, you just need to do a better performance and hide it.
And the audience isn't going to like you if you throw the team under the bus.
Exactly.
They're going to go, this guy's a prima donna.
Exactly. Like, it will be backfire on you.
Yeah, it just looks bad. But also at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. And, my background in my 20s, I was a professional drummer.
Mm.
you know, and touring with artists and recording and being on TV and radio, playing drums as a session musician. And, you know, I learned all of this stagecraft, like, you know, from the age of 13 to around 30, you know, I was on stage as a musician.
Okay.
And it was exactly the same thing. Every day there was something that the sound wasn't good, or the stage area was too small, and like everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, you do 1,000 gigs and performances and you just learn to deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Solve problems.
Yeah. Solve the problem or ignore the problem.
Yeah.
Once I was doing a live television broadcast with a band, and there was about 500 people in the audience, and it was going live to MTV Australia.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was live broadcast.
Wow.
And the song started with a programmed loop.
Okay.
And then me, the drummer, came in after the first chorus with the proper drums, the real drums. And I was on stage, and it was like 30 seconds, and, you know, I pressed play on the loop, and it didn't come up.
Nay.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't come up, you know, and then I was like pressing the button, and it was like I could see the countdown coming. And then so I was like, so then I had to just make the decision as the professional in charge of the rhythm and the beat. Yeah. Okay, what am I going to do? And I quickly grabbed the little towel that I had, and I put it over my snare drum, so it made sort of a muffled, muted sound.
Okay.
And then I grabbed a pair of sticks, which are called hot rods, which are sort of like soft drumsticks. And I started playing really softly on the snare drum, which had a towel on it, mimicking the loop. You know?
Okay.
You know, and then when the part where the real drums came in, I quickly switched over, took the towel off. But like, they're the moments where professionalism really counts. Yeah. You put in all the hard yards, you do the practice, so that when the performance happens, whatever happens, you can deliver. And then, you know, the band were looking at me like, what are you doing? And then, you know, they quickly realized the tech wasn't working. And then later when I watched the playback, you know, it just looks like that was what was intended the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
And the audience had no idea that something was wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
It's also about seconds.
Seconds,
you need to decide, like, if I go this or I just complain and cry.
For sure, yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us about the spin pitching? I attended a course that you were delivering. I love it. And the spin pitching was very catchy. Yeah. So I love if you can just highlight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So spin selling has been around for about 100 years. I believe IBM developed it. I didn't invent this. I'm not taking any credit for that. But I just adapted it more for general pitching because it was sort of used more as a selling process. But I just added some categories, you know, some extra categories to it. But SPIN stands for situation, problem, implication, need. And I'm going to take you through what those are. Yeah. So when we do a pitch, and by the way, anyone listening, if you want a worksheet, just DM me on LinkedIn, I'll send you one. Yeah. But one of the things that I think is really important is that before we can talk about our solution, we have to do the spin part above it to set the scene. So the first part of spin is S, which stands for situation. So what is the current situation that we're in? And you have to give the audience context. This is a great place for storytelling. Yeah. And then we go to P, which is for problem. And problem is, what is the problem created by the situation? And then we get to I, which is for implication or impact, it's sometimes called. And that is what happens if the problem's not solved.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yes. And you can also think of this as the problem's problem.
Yeah.
And the reason we want to have the implication part is because we start to really press on the emotion and the downside of not taking action.
Okay.
Yeah. And then N stands for need. And need is where you talk about the value proposition, the actual value you're providing to the customer in a very specific way. So I'm going to go back to my original pitch that I did about urban planning and having more community spaces.
Yeah.
And I'll use the spin method. I think I might have used it when I spoke before. But the situation is in the age of the internet, people are spending much more time at home and being online and not using community spaces. But also we can see that over the last 25 years of city planning, as Stockholm grew tremendously, that public community spaces have got squeezed out and they have been reduced by 65%.
Okay. This is the S.
This is the situation.
Yeah.
Now I've given you the situation. And the problem is this leads to a lot of community problems, such as immigrants not integrating well into the society because they don't have an opportunity to mix with their community. Yeah. It can lead to children not having outdoor spaces to play in and meet in, which leads them to do other things which are not good. There is no space for our senior citizens to meet and have community in, which is outdoors, which of course in Sweden, people really want to make use of as many days of the year as possible. And so now that's the problem.
Yeah.
Now we get to I for implication. And so the implication is that if we don't, as urban planners and city councils, really prioritize public spaces, what will happen is we will actually see a lot of societal problems emerge simply because we didn't provide people the space to interact, play, connect, and communicate. And this can lead to a lot of societal problems from the young to the old. So what we really need, and this is the value proposition, now we get to an N for need. So what we really need is community-based, open, green spaces.
This is the spin.
Yeah. And so just by saying that, you have given the audience a lot of clear clarity on what problem you're solving, why you're solving it, and what your focus is in solving it, which is community-based green spaces.
Yeah. And Malcolm, like sometimes when we talk or when we present or pitch, we think that the audience know everything about the situation. And sometimes we think, no, they don't know anything, so we over-communicate. Where or how to find the balance?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things there. The first one I would say is that it's better to over-communicate than under-communicate.
Okay.
Always. I'd rather tell someone something they knew than miss the opportunity to tell someone something they might not know. But also when we do the spin pitch, we actually tell them where we're focusing our attention.
Okay.
So urban planning is huge. Like how many different areas? Sustainability, community,
a lot.
Materials, city growth,
people,
traffic flows.
social,
you could there's a million bullet points under that umbrella, right? But what we need to do is to make sure that we tell them what we know and what we think is really critically important. And so don't be afraid to say something like this. And because even if they know this problem exists, you're telling them that you're focusing on it. And this is why you've designed this thing this way.
Okay.
And they will not know the value of your plan, your product, or your service unless you have told them clearly what it is. And so don't let the audience guess what the value is. Tell them out loud.
Exactly. Serve them with the information background. I love to take you to the AI
For sure.
path of this conversation. Now, you know this better than me, and a lot of AI tools.
For sure.
And a lot of organizations start to use AI to respond to their clients or to create communications and so on. What is your take?
I actually think human communication is going to become incredibly valuable over the next 5 years. And I actually think if you have ever been thinking about like taking a presentation course, learning how to speak well, learning how to pitch ideas really well, person to person. It has never been a better time to do it.
How come?
Because what's going to happen is AI is going to come in and everyone will have access to more or less the same tools.
Yeah.
And it's going to level the playing field when it comes to written communication.
True.
And visualizing ideas. The actual barriers to entry to have high-level tools for communication digitally are going to disappear. There's going to be no barrier.
Yeah, no.
Everyone will have access to the best graphic software, text to video, speech to video. Like, we're going to be able to visualize anything and everything we want, and everyone's going to have access to the same level tools.
Yes.
That means the human part is going to be a great differentiator. It'll allow you, if you are really good with people in person, building relationships, pitching in person, presenting in person, really good at asking critical questions, to another human, you're going to be more valuable. So for me, I think it's really, really exciting. I'm really excited to see how this develops, because I think as well that I said this to a group the other day. I've got a workshop that I'm running at the moment called Leading in the Age of AI.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a workshop for leaders about how to approach AI, how to think about AI, how to leverage it. But I said, is anybody here, because it's not really about the tools, right? Like, the tools are not that interesting.
No.
Once you get past the initial magic trick,
Yeah.
right? And I said, is anybody here excited when they send an email? Does anybody go, wow, I just wrote a letter and I sent it to Mustafa and he's going to get it in 5 seconds. And it's like, wow, nobody's excited about email anymore.
No.
Yeah, but I've been working for 42 years. And when I started work, email wasn't the thing, it was faxes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're sending faxes and still sending documents through the mail.
Okay.
I'll send you a contract in the mail, you sign it, you send it back. Getting a contract signed took a week. Business was slow. And then email came and everybody got used to it really, really quickly. And nobody went home and was like super excited by this tool. And so right now everyone's excited by the tools because they're just like new and shiny.
Yeah.
But in a year, like, ChatGPT is not interesting. It's just a tool.
Already not.
It's already not, right?
Yeah.
It's already not. It's like a year old. So it's already it's just a thing that we use.
Yeah.
And most AI is going to get integrated into programs we're already using. So it'll feel very seamless and quickly adopted. And so I think the important thing is to realize that it's going to be a great tool for productivity, for accelerating. I heard the head of the CEO of one of the biggest advertising companies in the world. I heard him last year on a podcast. I wish I could remember which one, but he said no creative will ever start with a blank page ever again. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, like flipping the entire.
It's like, you're always going to ask AI, it's like, what's your initial thoughts? Or, you're going to use it to get you rolling, and you can reject the ideas, but at least it gets you thinking. But I think that very, very quickly, it's going to come into the marketplace, create advantages for some people for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Because they'll have access to tools. But within like 2 or 3 years, everyone will have the tools.
Like
no longer interesting. And so you're not going to have any more advantage in 2 or 3 years from AI in front of a client presenting your idea than anybody else. Because you think, I'm going to do animations. I'm going to show how people move around these green spaces. It's like, yeah, but so will all the other people pitching. So it will still come back to that human connection and that you being able to ask questions, show the value. And I mean, at the end of the day, even with AI, you need to know the right questions to ask.
True.
And when it gives you an answer, to think about that answer in context of everything that the AI doesn't know.
Mm.
I'll tell you a quick story. It's a bit off the path, but while we're here. But I worked with a management team recently who asked me to come in and just help them facilitate a conversation because they needed to decide if they're going to close their office in Copenhagen or not.
Okay.
And half the team wanted to and half the team didn't. And they sort of had been going around for a few months on this. So they just said, could you come in, just help us move the conversation forward? And I said, I just came in and, with a background in facilitating conversations and coaching people, I heard what both sides had to say.
Yeah.
And then I said, what would be a third possible use for the Copenhagen office that would make it really, really valuable? And so you didn't have to close it down, but maybe use it in a different way. And one of the reasons people didn't want to close it down was because some of their most creative talent was in that office. And if they closed that office, they'd lose that talent.
Yeah.
These people are very unlikely to move to another country. And I said, what would be if we didn't close it, but we used it for something else, what would happen? And over the space in 3 hours, they decided to turn it into sort of a creative technology hub, a lab for creativity and development, sort of an R&D creative lab, you know?
Wow.
And they said, we'll still use it for some sales.
Yeah.
We'll have people based out of there, but its primary function won't be to function like a normal office. We're going to keep those designers and use that place as our primary R&D lab facility. And, I came in and asked a better question or a different question, let's say. I call it an unlocking question. Like when there's a deadlock, like, how can we unlock this polarity? But just asking that question, what would be a third use for this office? And it just changed the conversation.
Right.
And so that's just an example of like the question you ask really changes the output you get. And it's going to be the same with AI. And just because AI gives you an answer, was your question the right question? That's always the hardest part of business. Am I asking the right question? But also I think when you get the answer back, what does this answer mean in the context of everything in the business? Because it could tell you in black and white, absolutely, shut Copenhagen down as quickly as possible. This is how much you'll save. It could tell you all of that, but it doesn't match the context.
No.
The cultural damage of closing down that office, creative damage, the loss,
the long term,
the long term, impact.
Do you get tired or annoyed by all the like social media posts and image generated by AI, and you feel like, okay, there is no value or everything looks the same?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's been interesting because I have a friend who runs a business, and I can tell that in the last 2 weeks she started using AI to generate her content on LinkedIn.
Because that's not her, right?
It just doesn't feel like her at all. It's like, and the way it writes, it's just really, really different. And I'm just like, I can really tell that this person is using AI to create this content.
Okay.
And it's probably good for the algorithm and other things, but it's like, it feels inauthentic. And so I don't read it.
Yeah, just like scroll to the next.
But I also understand people's sort of fascination with, like on Sunday I posted a funny picture on Instagram of me wearing the Pope's hat, and saying, can everyone stop calling me and asking if I'm the new Pope? I'm not the new Pope, And, just as a joke, but it was just like, I could create that image in 1 minute, which is fun.
Yeah.
And so you do it and you post it, but it's more like, I feel like it's a party trick mostly now. And I don't see a lot of people using AI. I don't see a lot of people posting about AI in a good way in terms of, this is what we've done, this is what we've got. I don't know. Mostly it feels like a party trick right now. But I think, I see these trends move through all the time.
Yeah.
As someone who's working with leadership and culture, the trends move through and they become sort of overcooked.
Yeah.
Because that's what the algorithm does. And then it moves to the next thing and the next thing. So it's digitization, then it's DEI, then it's AI, and then it's
next thing.
next thing and next thing. So, but I also feel like when you go out to businesses, and I'm speaking to a lot of businesses,
Yeah.
like yesterday I was speaking at Saab, and tomorrow I'm speaking at SEB, the bank, and like you're just meeting a lot of actual people in business, and the kind of reality of where businesses are and where LinkedIn tells you business is very, very different.
There's a gap, right?
And so for me, I mean, I can really observe the gap because I'm actually in those buildings talking to those people. I remember I hosted a panel discussion on AI for a leadership day. And one of the people was from one of the big banks in Sweden. He said, well, it's going to take us 5 years just to put the data in a good place, that in a good form, that we could use it in the best way possible, because all of our data is so separate, and we have a lot of legislation and policy and restrictions that stop us from mixing data. So a lot of the things that we would love to do tomorrow, we just can't do. So there's a big gap between reality and social media.
But in the end, the human skills win.
At the end of the day, it's the only thing that's real. It doesn't mean there isn't huge value in AI.
No, of course, no.
But it's just like having email is not a business advantage. If I came to you and said, my business uses email, you'd be like, yeah, so what? Like there's no business advantage there. It's not a competitive advantage. And AI, of course, will use it as a tool for efficiency, productivity, creativity, but it's actually the people in the building who continue to be your business advantage. Right?
Yeah. And before moving to the second part of the conversation, I also want to talk with you about the brave leadership.
Yeah.
And you coach a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
And also I want to mirror this on us as architects and urban planners and so on. We, like, our profession impact people's life, either make it good quality of life or very bad, and segregation and all this. But we don't understand the value of what we make and the leadership that we should have. When I heard the brave leadership, I said, okay, this is what we need. Because we are leading a change. So tell me again, and tell our listeners, what is a brave leadership?
Yeah. Well, I think that when it comes to, I'm going to keep it specific to urban planning and architecture.
Yeah, I will be grateful.
Because I know that's your predominant audience. But I think when it comes to these areas that people are working in these areas because they care about it.
Yeah.
Nobody, if you ask a 13-year-old or a 10-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? None of them says urban planning, right? They want to be Superman, a football player, or whatever, YouTuber.
Yeah.
So people who end up in urban planning do it because generally they have a fascination with solving that problem. Like they like doing that kind of work. They like the creative side of it, but they also have, they must have something inside of them that makes them want to make great creative urban spaces.
Yeah.
Like that has to be part of it. It's some value connection, a connection with their values and the work. And I think that when it comes to architecture, it's very, very similar. People who are in architecture like solving those problems and thinking about, how do we move people around and how do they feel in these spaces? And, I remember another conference I hosted, there was a gentleman there and his whole business was designing shopping centers. And it was fascinating. It was one of the most fascinating things I'd ever talked about, how you bring people into a shopping center and how the design influences them to move. And, it was amazing, and trying to design where there's a shopping center with no dead spots. And so just amazing, but it was super cool. But for me, one of the things that leadership needs to be doing is having a clear set of values that the organization stands for. Like we really want to, like our business exists to make the world better by doing this. So, because I think when it comes to this kind of work, connecting leadership and the leadership message to a real mission that the company has, our mission is to create the most sustainable and human urban spaces possible,
Yeah.
for clients big and small, and to actually have a vision that you're continually going back to and referencing.
Yeah.
Because when a leader has a mission statement, a vision statement that they can point to, it gives them so much more flexibility to discuss, to reject an idea, to tell a person they need to develop more.
That's like a compass.
It's like a compass, but it's also, it gives you a center of gravity in conversations that if you don't have it, it's harder to be brave.
Yeah.
Like if I said to you, I'm the leader and I've got this company, it says on the wall, we design the most human urban spaces on the planet. Like it's our mission.
Yeah.
We want it to be human centric. And then you come to me with like this whole thing, this whole plan. It's like, yeah, but look at our mission.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no cycle paths. This is all based around car flows. This is not what we do. So thank you, but you got to go back to the drawing board.
Exactly.
And it's not because your idea is not good. It's just not what we do.
Yes.
And this is like this kind of mission vision allows you to be much more, brave, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the mission is what's driving it,
and do we like, because we have leaders in official leaders and managers and so on. Do we need to have a managerial position in order to be like a brave leaders?
No, not at all. I think that management is definitely a job title because it's more task focused, giving permission to do things, not do things. But I think leadership can definitely be a job title, but I definitely also think it's a quality of character that people are attracted to. And when I first moved to Sweden, I was working in a company and people were coming to me and sort of asking for help, asking for questions, what should I do? And being that I'm a coach, that's kind of my nature to coach and help and teach. And then I got some feedback from the senior leaders, like, could you please stop helping these people because they should be coming to us? And what I said was, the question is, why are they coming to me and not you?
Okay.
And I said, I just said to them, like, the people are coming to me because they're afraid to come to you. So you need to, I can stop, but then they're not going to come to anybody. But the kind of more interesting thing to think about is why they're coming to me.
Yeah.
They feel safe to come to me and say, I don't know. They don't feel safe to come to you and say, I don't know. And one of the leaders really took it on, and a couple of others were offended. But I think it's just a really good example of people will gravitate to people that they feel safe, comfortable with, that they think can teach them and help them grow.
Yeah, without judging.
Without judging. And I think having influence in an organization happens quite naturally.
Yeah.
I think competence is really, we don't talk about competence enough, that a lot of attention and charisma comes from competence. If you're a person in the room who really knows their stuff, like you really know urban planning inside out, upside down, it makes you a default leader. Yeah. And because your competence is also like this is the person I can trust to solve this problem.
Like you said, a gravity center.
Yeah,
it's very beautiful way of describing.
Yeah, people are drawn in.
Yeah. Interesting. So before moving to the second, what is next business-wise for you? What is happening on your?
Yeah, well, it's very very busy time for me because it's when all the companies are having their kickoffs in the Q2 and Q3 are like my busy time of the year. Lots of company events. I'm doing lots of workshops.
Nice.
Hosting lots of conferences, coaching leaders. So at the moment, it's I'm in different cities and different countries every week.
Nice.
Doing different things. I'm going to Amsterdam tomorrow to host a conference. Working with a bank. Yesterday I worked with Saab. You know, and the week after that, it's sort of like a repeat, you know,
Yes,
like
yes.
travel,
Mhm.
workshops, conference hosting.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a really, really busy
Yeah.
time. And as I said to you before, you know, I'm a person who thrives on being busy.
Mm.
I'm a person who gets more energy. I feel burnt out
Yeah.
when I'm not busy. When I don't have much to do, I feel really burnt out. But when it's high tempo,
Then
it suits my personality and my brain.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the second part of this episode is about our guest. So it's always interesting to talk about technique and competence and project and so on. But in the end of the day, we are not organizations and machines. We are people. And I love to explore like the human part of a person, a passion and
Yeah.
journey and so on. So Malcolm, take us back in time and tell us more about you, where you born, grow up, your childhood,
Yeah.
and slowly walk us through your path and how did you find this passion of
Yeah.
moderating, coaching leaders,
Yeah.
pitching and influencing.
Okay. So, born in Sydney, Australia, way back in 1968. And I got to grow up in Australia during an incredible time where it was very peaceful, you know, obviously pre-internet. You know, it was like a really amazing, simple childhood.
Yeah.
A lot of time outside riding bikes and being in the bush, and
Yeah.
our parents didn't worry about us at all. We'd leave home at like we'd eat breakfast and leave the house and not come back till dinner time.
Mm.
And our parents didn't know where we were, what we were doing, but we were fine, and their parents weren't worried.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a golden era of childhood, I think, you know?
Yeah.
And then was not very good at school at all.
Mm.
And left school at 15.
Yeah.
Because I was really struggling academically. And the school said there's no, I mean, back then the schools weren't really like, so
We help you or
we'll help you and maybe you need a tutor. And it's like,
okay.
but they just said, we don't see any point in you continuing school. You should go out and get a job.
The door's there.
Meaning, yeah, there's literally like that. Yeah.
Okay.
There's the door. It's like no point in you staying.
It's because you didn't like was it boring for you?
I think it was probably a combination of undiagnosed ADHD, probably.
Yeah.
But I'd also discovered drumming at the age of 13.
Okay.
And I just really decided, you know, when I started playing drums that I was going to be a professional musician.
Okay.
And so, but also back then it was also very different where most men who left school would go into a trade like plumbing, carpentry, mechanic, that kind of hands-on work. And only like maybe 10% of the people would go on to do university like my brother did.
Okay.
That was rare. That was like you were the exception, not the rule.
Okay.
Going to university was very much the exception. So most people, even though I left a year earlier than most of my friends, most of my friends went into trades anyway. They didn't go to university or anything like that. Anyway, so I drop out of high school more or less and go and start working in factories, just doing production line work like weldings and, you know, running a welding machine, running a printing machine, like really just real factory work, blue collar work. And I'm actually really happy I did that.
Why?
Because I think the ability to communicate really well to a factory worker and a CEO, having that range and having the experience of going from a factory floor to being in boardrooms and coaching leaders in boardrooms at the C-suite and board level, I think that dealing with that range of people is a gift, like a gift from life, you know, because there's no one I can't talk to. There's no one
exactly.
And also there's no one I think is better than anyone else.
No, but
Like,
we have different
I've met great people at every step of the ladder and valuable people, you know, and also one of the things that I think that it made me a bit prestigeless. It gave me a bit of humility in terms of, you know, like I've been on the factory floor. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm just a guy who climbed a ladder, you know. But you know, so I left school. I was working in factories, playing in bands, and learning to be a professional musician. Practicing.
What did your family say when
Well, I don't. They were pretty accepting of it all, but also like it was not. It was like the fact that I was working in a factory was not seen as a failure. That was a normal path. My dad was like, you can get a better job at the factory if you work hard.
Okay. Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was saying you should have been a doctor. He was just saying, well, if you work hard, you can get a better job. Maybe you can be the factory manager or the floor manager or something, shift manager. But then, then I went on and I pursued a music career, was doing that. And then I felt, there was a certain point where downloading hit the music industry, the first wave of downloading music.
Which year? Like
Napster.
Years? Okay.
Napster came in. The internet hit big time. And I'd lived for 25 years with no internet, by the way, just for the listeners. I had 25 glorious years of pre-internet life, and it was wonderful.
Feels like a stone age.
Yeah, it's in my lifetime. But I felt like the music industry was in real trouble, and I could really see it. And so I started to think about off ramps. What could I do differently? What could I do? What else could I do?
Yeah.
And at one stage, I was also doing sales. I left the factory and went into sales, and so I was selling and drumming at the same time, trying to make it all work. And sometimes I was full-time drumming, and sometimes I was also drumming and selling. But when I was doing sales, one of my bosses sent me on a course to study NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is sort of a form of cognitive psychology based on language patterns. And it was just like a whole world opened up. And I just became absolutely obsessed with human potential, psychology, what makes humans work, human motivation, language. And suddenly it shifted my focus away from music to long-term wanting to be a coach. And I knew it was going to be a long journey to be a full-time coach and speaker, but I pointed myself in that direction in my late 20s.
Okay, already made the decision.
Already sort of like, I want to get there one day. Like after I stop drumming, I want to do this. Okay. And I didn't know how long drumming would last, but then, and then I, at a certain point, I think I was around 30, when I decided to stop performing. Because of the music industry was in a lot. It was, I felt like where I'd got to in the music industry. It was, I was on a burning ladder. I was climbing a burning ladder.
Okay.
And and I've just sort of thought, I'm a really good drummer, like I'm pro, but the guys that are above me are far above me.
Okay.
The ones that are better.
Like in the band or in general?
Like in the industry. Like the top players. And it's a bit like tennis, right? Like there's only like 30 people in the world who make a living from playing tennis.
Yeah.
And the difference between like being the guy who plays at Wimbledon in the final and being number 200, like it's a different planet.
It's huge,
It's a different planet. And the people who are in the top 10 in tennis, they're special.
Yeah.
And it's the same with music. Like the guys who are above me as drummers, they had something that I was not going to be able to practice my way to.
Okay, so that's it. Yeah.
Like no matter how hard I practiced, I wasn't going to get to where they are. They had something special.
Okay.
They worked hard, but they had something
also
special.
Like this talent in their
There's just
DNA.
some talent. Yeah, they're the Michelangelos, And I just sort of recognized that this is a burning ladder, and the drummers at the top are going to survive, but drummers where I am, it's going to be hard.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, what could I do? Because I don't want to stop playing. And so then I opened a school for drummers, and I went into teaching.
Okay.
And then I've discovered that I actually love teaching much more than performing. And it really made me, and so I sort of had this thing where I'd had this NLP training, and then I'd also learned that I really loved teaching, and it kind of made me realize that my gift was in coaching and teaching, not in being a drummer.
Yes.
And I still play drums for fun, by the way. It's still a passion, I just got a new drum kit like 10 days ago. Yeah, it's beautiful. I got to show you pictures.
Yeah.
But so drumming remained a passion, but not a profession. But I really realized that sort of what I felt my destiny was to be a teacher and a coach. And so then I just went on a really determined journey to go forward with that. And then in 2004, I got a really big break when a company gave me the opportunity to go and teach workshops that they workshops that they developed to different companies. And the first opportunity I had was to go to India and teach in call centers. And so I had this experience of, jumping on a plane, going and running these workshops, getting great excitement and feedback from the audience, and really feeling like, this is a career, I can do this. But then it took a long time to build up a reputation, to find the opportunities. I had a lot of stops and starts along the way. Had a marriage that was didn't work out, and that kind of like was I would say a time and energy suck.
Of course.
But then when I was 40, and I'm, by the way, for the audience reference, I'm turning 57 in a few months.
57?
Yeah.
Okay.
And thank you.
You look much younger.
Oh, thank you.
Well, knock on wood. Huh?
Yeah, thank you. But one of the things that, was once I was also past 40, one of the things I recognized that I have a lot of life experience now that makes me much more valuable as a coach and a teacher and a speaker. And somebody said to me, like, when I said, when I was 28 and said, I really want to do this. They said, I have a friend, Mark, in Australia, who's brutally honest. He says, you're going to be completely useless to almost everybody because you don't know anything about anything. You're just like, like a large teenager, right? And he said, you need to have a lot more heartbreak. You need to be bankrupt. You need to do this.
To
have life experience. And so by the time I was 40, I'd had a business that had gone bankrupt. I'd had a divorce and I had heartbreaks. And I had a lot of different life experience that enabled me to be valuable to my clients. And I think that one of the things that does make one of the things I like about my profession is that it's a profession where getting older actually makes you more valuable because you know more, experience more, worked with more companies, worked with more clients. True. And so your wisdom that you build up over the course of all of these decades starts to add up to something that gets more valuable rather than less. So. But one other thing I just want to mention is that I always had a passion for words. And when I was in high school, the only subject I did well in was English. I came number 1 in English every year. And I came last in every other class. And I remember my dad looking at my school report going, I do not understand. But for me, there was something about words that I could just play. I could just do it. There's a scene in the film Good Will Hunting where, Will's girlfriend says, how can you do all this chemistry? And he goes, well, it's just like, Mozart sat down at a piano and knew how to play. I knew that's the same with me with chemistry and science and technology. But for me, it was like that with words. I just felt like with words, I could really understand how to use them, be influential with them. I loved the speaking part of my English class. I loved writing. I loved doing these things. And so all of these things have come together to make, from the outside, it just looks like I have this career and I do this thing, but I just really want to let everyone know that it came together in a really unexpected and unplanned way. And I often tell people I fell up the ladder. like things happened and I got put in different positions where I got opportunities to do things, tried things. I've definitely done things that didn't work. Like some of my early talks were horrendous, My apologies to those audiences. But, but I felt like I could do it. And, and then maybe I was a little bit arrogant at the beginning and thought, well, it's just speaking. And then I realized it's more than just speaking.
It's an art.
It's an art. And then I have to learn the art form. But I always had a love for words and writing and reading and all of those things. So I think it's all come together in a really interesting omelet, from the music side, the language side, the performing side,
selling.
selling, selling and having to work out how to to do that, and then having a few businesses, some that worked, some that didn't work. And all of this has come together into like the omelet that everyone sees as me now.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it was a lot of broken eggs.
But how come that you are here in Sweden?
Yeah, so about 16 years ago, I had a friend who was married to a Swedish lady.
Yeah.
And he was a close friend, and I was close friends with his wife, Christine. And they said, Christine's sister's coming down to Sydney to spend a few months with us from Sweden.
Okay.
And so then the sister arrived, and I was like, wow. And so I met my beautiful Swedish wife, Therese, in Sydney when she was staying there with her sister.
Yeah.
And I very quickly knew that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Okay.
And, fell in love with this beautiful Swedish lady. And a year later, I moved to Sweden to be with her. And she had an opera singing career here at that time, which was going well. And I didn't want her to stop doing that because it was easier for me to replicate my career somewhere else than for her to try and be an opera singer somewhere else, which is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So I moved here and then ended up in Stockholm. And I've got to say Therese was the best decision I ever made. But I also would say the second best decision I ever made was moving to Stockholm, Sweden. Because when I moved here, nobody knew me. And it was like having the only people who knew me were my wife and my in-laws.
That's it.
That's it. That was my network. And I felt like it gave me an opportunity. It gave me an opportunity to present myself as a speaker coach to a whole new audience, and for this audience to only know me as that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that the blank space that I was in, I felt like if I did it at home, maybe everybody who knew me as the other things, but it made me feel like you're not really that thing. But it allowed me to kind of skip the imposter syndrome. And I remember just telling people, who are you? And it's like, I'm a coach and speaker from Sydney, Australia.
Wow.
And I would just introduce myself all the time. And even though I had a few sales jobs when I first moved here, because I didn't know anybody, I needed to build a network.
Exactly.
You can't go from zero to hero. You have to build a network.
Exactly.
It's a networking business.
Yeah.
But I introduced myself to everybody. I'm a coach. I'm a speaker. I had little business cards.
Wow.
And it enabled me to sort of have a very clear new chapter in my life and career that I was pursuing.
That's awesome.
And it felt like a really clean break and a blessing to do that.
Yeah, like a new market. Nobody knows you.
Nobody knows me. And even though I'd done speaking gigs since 2004.
Okay.
Right? Like way back in 2004 was when I was like in India and doing all these things a long time ago. Since I've been here, it feels like a very fresh chapter of my life.
Yeah.
And also, of course, starting a family and having a great marriage and, absolutely wonderful wife. But also I fell in love with Stockholm. I tell Therese all the time,
it's a paradise.
If you had been from Helsinki, I don't know if I would have moved,
With all
no
respect,
offense to any
course.
Finnish listeners, but like I just fell in love with Stockholm.
Stockholm has a magic.
There's something about the way it's built around the water, the old town, the mixture. I think Stockholm did a brilliant job of not building a lot of tall buildings, which was a really smart move. So you didn't end up with this sort of central business district, which is deserted on the weekends and after 5 o'clock, which is a big problem in Sydney.
Exactly.
The central business district.
Many cities.
Yeah, just a complete dead zone. But Sydney's done this. Stockholm's done this great job of integrating business and schools and community.
Leisure,
And I had a friend come over when my wife and I got married here. An Australian friend came over and she goes, "This city is so human. There's bike lanes everywhere. You can walk everywhere. It's so easy to get around." And the first 10 years the first 10 years I was in Stockholm, my wife and I didn't have a car.
Wow.
We didn't have a car. We just get around on bicycles and public transport. It was so good.
Yeah.
it wasn't until we ended up having children that we
Then
sort
you
of
need-
ended up started needing to have a car to get them to
Yeah.
football matches and
Mm.
different things and manage family life a bit better. But it was such a human city.
Yeah. I'm so happy to hear this.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm hoping it stays that way. You know, I live
Cool.
in Naka,
Yeah. Oh,
a commune called
very
Naka, which is
beautiful.
really beautiful, but it's
Very
also
beautiful.
growing really fast.
Ah,
And the subway's coming out
yeah.
into that part of Stockholm, which will be really great because
Mm.
I think it'll stop the kind of road development being
Yeah.
overdeveloped. But I also sort of I see Stockholm, and every city is always evolving.
Yeah.
And you know, my hope for Stockholm as a city that I love is that it keeps its soul,
Mm. Mm.
and that it recognizes its limits as a city.
Yeah.
Of what it can cope with, without it becoming something it's not.
Not Stockholm. Yeah.
It's not
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stockholm. Yeah.
Now, this is what we are fighting for every day, to be honest, as
Yeah.
planners and urban designers.
Yeah.
We want to keep the Stockholm DNA,
Yeah.
like 1/3 urban, 1/3 green, 1/3 water.
Nice. Oh, that's really nice. I like that.
So like,
That's really good.
we don't want to do the mistakes of the city is doing.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
trying to learn from the others and keep it more like a human centric.
yeah. And for me, living in such a human city, I think, is also made me. It changed my focus quite a bit to like work is not everything.
Mm.
Quality of life is really important.
Yeah.
And if I'd stayed in Sydney, which is a really
Mhm.
overbuilt
Yes.
city now,
Yeah.
super expensive city. I don't know. I would not have stayed in Sydney if I hadn't met
yeah.
my wife. I would have left Sydney for
Mhm.
sure, because it was just too crowded and the roads don't work and lots of problems. Beautiful city, but like I love it, but it's not a great place to live anymore. But one of the things that I would say is that I think if I lived there, I would have had to been much more success focused in terms of money and reputation and brand and all those things.
Wealth and all this.
Whereas I feel like when I moved to Sweden, Sweden's done a really good job of kind of making people live sane lives, not overworking, even
Yeah.
though I do.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not the culture to overwork, and it's also family and quality of life is really held up as a value. And I think that I think this is all interconnected.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to New York, there's nothing about New York that says, "Hey, relax."
No.
Right?
No.
It's the complete opposite.
Why are you relaxing?
While you're relaxing, hustle. And so I think cities influence the psychology of the people in it. And,
Lots.
you know, I hope it stays,
Yeah.
it keeps it chill.
Yeah. And I lived in Milan.
Hmm.
Also like same vibes as Sydney, like this
Yeah.
big city.
Yeah.
People moving and working and so on. Then I went back to Stockholm, and I realized by having a good quality of time with families
Yeah.
and friends makes you creative
It does. Yeah.
and unique and can perform and for the long run.
Yeah. And you know, also I think that the accessibility to green spaces in Stockholm is unbelievable. I used to live in, you know, a place called Sickla.
Yeah.
In Nacka.
Yeah.
And I could ride my bike in 15 minutes to Central Station. And I lived next to a beautiful lake.
Yeah.
Which was and on the other side of the lake was a big national park. So can you imagine living in this beautiful lake? There's a national park. You ride your bike 15 minutes and you're at Central Station.
Yeah, like it's
like this is astonishing.
Yeah, right?
Astonishing
Yeah.
quality of life.
Yeah.
And I don't take it for granted at all. Yeah.
And Malcolm, like you are good with words, with pitching and influencing and so on. Does it mean that easier for you to trick people?
Trick people. It's funny this came up in another conversation. So I think there's two things that we can do with words. Okay, we can influence or we can manipulate.
Yes.
And I think that someone said to me, like, you know, you have these tools and these skills. You know, how do I know I can trust you? And I said, well, do you have a cooking knife in your house? And they said, yeah. And I said, how do I know you're not going to stab me? Right. And it's like, just because you have a tool doesn't mean you're going to use it for the wrong purposes. And I think that it all comes down to intention and integrity.
Mhm.
That, my purpose is to lift people up. My goal in my career
Mhm.
is for hundreds of thousands of people to see a bigger potential for themselves and what they can achieve in their lives. I mean, that's my mission.
Mm.
And there's no amount of manipulation, negative intent that I could
Yeah.
do that's going to help me do that.
Mm.
It's going to go against me.
Yeah.
And I'm also, I've studied Buddhism for many, many decades.
Mm.
And I'm also a really big believer in karma,
Yeah.
in the sense of, anything negative you do to somebody else, you're going to experience for yourself,
Sooner or later.
and usually sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually sooner. So I try and live my life by integrity, good principles, but also just common sense. I'm also very pragmatic and very practical.
Yeah.
And it's like this damaging my reputation for a short-term win is just a dumb use of my time, you know?
Sure.
So I think it's about intention, and anybody could take any tool and use it for good or bad.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
And through your career, what is the thing that you did and you're so proud of?
Yeah.
And what is the thing you did and maybe if you go back in time, you do it
Not so proud of.
Yeah.
Okay, so what am I proud of? I'm actually proud of holding on to this kind of outcome that I have now as my career for a long time, because it took a long time for it to come true.
Yeah.
And so I actually wrote a letter to myself when I was 28. I wrote a letter when I was 28, and I put it in an envelope, and I wrote, "Open this on your 40th birthday."
You're kidding.
And I put it in a drawer. And on my 40th birthday, I opened it up, and I actually found it when I was 42. So it was a bit past. But it was like, when I was 28, I wrote, I hope when you read this that you're out there, you're coaching people, you're helping people.
No way.
You're using your skills and talents to help
Wow.
people, that you're on stage, that you've been brave enough to keep going.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to read this note from my 28-year-old self when I was 41, 42,
Wow.
and see that a lot of it had come true. That was really cool. And so I'm really proud of myself for just holding this thought, because there were a lot of years when I was far away from it.
Yeah.
Some years I was close to it.
Yeah.
But then when I was going through a divorce and some other challenges, I got pretty far away from it, and it wasn't a focus, and I kind of lost it, and I had to get it back.
Yeah.
So, just having the patience to make it come true. What am I not proud of?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I used to be a really bad gossip. I would gossip about people.
Like in the industry or
Like
in
just
general
in
life?
jobs that I had, in workplaces I had. I think I was very insecure.
Okay.
And I would like say, "Did you see what Jim did today? And what's happening there?" And I don't know. I think I was very insecure about certain things. And maybe I learnt it from somebody. Maybe like when I was younger, I don't know. Maybe I saw somebody else do it and I copied it. But I think there have been times where I covered my incompetence by talking about other
yeah.
people.
You're hiding your...
Yeah. And I'm old enough to sort of recognize that now as like that was not a good thing to do. So I think it's really good not to talk about other people to other people. It gives you a reputation.
Exactly.
Even if they're enjoying the conversation, they'll leave the room and say, "Did you hear what Malcolm said?"
Exactly.
And so those things came back and like when we're not, they came back and bit me. They weren't good for me.
No.
But now I'm sort of old enough to recognize I was like covering up competence gaps by trying to like talk about other people and deflect attention away from myself.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd had that insight a bit earlier. But again,
This is life.
As like one of the great poet said, an apple's only ripe when it's ripe, So, but I would say at the age of 57 that I don't regret almost anything that I've done, because everything's led me to where I am.
Yeah.
And if you don't have any regrets, you didn't try anything.
True.
And you are going to end up with a number of regrets, personal and professional. And I see them now more as the price of entry.
Yeah.
The cost of being human is some regrets.
Exactly. Yeah.
but hopefully they're regrets you can live with,
Mm,
and I can live with my regrets, which I'm happy about.
that's good.
And
Yeah. Is there a profession that you like to try, like something not related to what you do today?
well, definitely architecture.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But I wasn't mathematical enough to do architecture. Like I just couldn't.
Now we have AI.
I know you have AI and all that stuff, but I remember at school we had technical drawing.
Yes.
We had to do tech, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I couldn't understand what's an acute angle, and I couldn't my brain does not work mathematically at all. It works
Words.
brilliant with words
Yeah.
and with numbers, not at all. But definitely architecture and
Yeah.
design, like it's fascinating. But I often say like, there are things that I've accepted I'm not going to do
Mm.
in this lifetime
That's it,
because
yeah.
I've decided to focus on something. But if I live for another
Next
200 years, definitely would love to spend some time being an architect. Definitely love to spend time exploring photography, doing photography.
life. Nice.
I'd love to have a psychology degree.
Wow.
I'd love to be a psychotherapist. I'd love to be, and there's so many things that
Yeah.
interest me. And my brain is a brain that just wants to absorb information 24
Yeah,
hours a day.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I listen to a podcast every day and I'm just learning every day. My brain is just a
Yeah,
sponge.
yeah.
But I've also recognized that the price of trying to achieve mastery in anything is focus. And I'm not saying I'm a master of anything that I do, but I hope one day to be.
Mm.
I think I'm really good at what I do,
Mm.
and I'd love
You
to
are.
get, and I'd
You
love,
are.
thank you, and I'd love to get to a place where I really felt like I'd achieved
Yeah,
mastery.
yeah.
That requires focus.
True.
So, yeah.
And before we go to the last part of this episode, what do you want to leave behind you for the next generations?
Mm.
What do you want people future to say about you?
Well, firstly, I hope my kids say that I was a good dad. That's my number one. Like,
Yeah.
by far my number one outcome. It's actually the only outcome that really matters to me.
How many kids you have?
I have two kids.
God bless.
But like if they say I was a really good dad, that would for me be a life well spent. If my wife says a good husband, also I would like that. That's seriously like that's the biggest thing that I think about every day, by far.
Yeah.
And then professionally, I would just like when people think of me that I inspired them to try something new, do something new, that I taught them something. I was walking at this bus stop in Slusen.
Yeah.
Last summer, and I was going downstairs, and this young man was coming up the stairs, and he pointed at me and said, "Oh, I loved your workshop at Hyper Island." And I said, "Oh, thank you so
Wow.
much." I was there with my kids. My kids were like, "Are you famous?" And I was like, No, it's just a student." But then we kept walking, and we walked for about another minute, and then this kid came back and tapped me on the shoulder, and he just said to me, "I just want to tell you that class that we had together changed my life. It was so amazing.
Wow.
It made me want to just it really affected me, and I just wanted you to know that." And so when you get that kind of feedback, it's really, really beautiful that people see a bigger potential for themselves. And I would love it if at the end of my life, there were maybe 10 people in the world who felt that way. That would be, I don't know how many will feel that way, but if even it was like 10.
I think more than 10.
But,
Yeah.
but hopefully, the people that met me got inspired and that pushed them to try something and do something new.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
At the end of the day, I'm just a teacher. I'm not a, I'm not. I don't think I'm special, but I think I'm really good at teaching, and I think that the way that I teach, one of the feedbacks I get most is that I take complex things and make them really simple to understand and take action on, and that is what I'm really passionate about. Like when I'm teaching leaders about, like right now, I've got a new workshop, Leading in the Age of AI, and I'm really helping leaders to understand where the opportunity is with AI and how they can use it to be better leaders and better managers, and separating those two things out. But the way I put it into language, people go, "Oh,
exactly."
It's the language, right?
Yes, and this is what I felt when I listened to you when you had
Thank
a
you.
workshop here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And so for me, yeah, if I can make something simple enough that people go, oh, I get it, and then it makes them take action, then I feel like I've done my job.
Wow. So last 3 questions.
Mhm.
Now it's about messages
Okay.
you send. First one is a message you send to your younger yourself, like the 28 maybe.
Yeah.
What the message you send back now?
Yeah. Oh, well, when people say if you could get on a time machine
Yeah.
and go and meet anybody from history, who would you meet? That kind of question at dinner. I always say I'd love to meet myself when I was 7.
7?
Yeah, so I'd
Okay.
love to meet
Yeah.
myself when I was 6, 7 years old. Just put my arm around myself and just say everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be bumpy, but just keep going. It's going to be okay. I had some, childhood challenges with a schizophrenic mother and some different challenges
Yeah.
around that time. But just to, that's
calm.
it's going to be okay.
Mm.
And also, I think that I probably also would have told my 40-year-old self,
Uh-huh.
like, I mean, I was brave, but it's like you're going to have to be braver than you think. And I remember being on the plane. I just sold everything in Australia, and I was on the plane flying to Sweden to live with this lady who wasn't, we weren't engaged or anything. We were just together. I was like, geez, I hope this works out.
Gambling.
I really gambled the whole. I put all the chips on the table for this, and I remember sitting on the plane thinking, I really hope this works. So yeah, I'd probably tell my 40-year-old self, you're going to have to be even braver than you imagine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the second message is a message to students listening to you.
Yeah. Well, what I'd say is that I think that you really need to be good at communicating your ideas. So whatever you're studying, you need to be able, no matter how good you are at knowing it, like knowing the information won't help you won't be enough. You have to be able to communicate what you know really well. So please, think about not only building like technical skills or a specialty skill like psychology or engineering. You also have to be able to tell people what you know. So invest in communication. That's one tool that never gets rusty.
True.
There's never been a time when being a great speaker has not been an advantage in the marketplace ever.
That's true.
Yeah. And it's not going to go out of fashion ever. Yeah.
And last message is to our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like to?
Well, what can I say? Philosophically, I would say I have an expression which I tell myself every day, which is one day at a time is enough.
Okay.
So when a lot of people, when they try and think about success and building themselves up and think their life being better, they have 5-year plans and it's all good, have a vision for where you want to go. But all you need to do is, look, success is just having a great day. That's after 57 years, I can tell you, success is just having a great day and then trying to do it on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So just one day at a time, just try and have a great day, be productive, move your dream a little bit forward, learn a little bit more, go for a nice walk, hug your kids, but just have the best possible productive day you can. But just understand, this is the only place that you have an effect is right now. What you do today is where your power lies. And so you don't have to be stressing about next Friday now. You don't have to be stressing about August in June. It's like, no, I'm focused here. I'm really focused here on making the most of today, being productive, being happy, being healthy. If I get it right and I repeat that, I will experience a feeling of success.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I remember seeing the singer Sting. Some of your listeners will have heard of him, but he was a there's a gentleman named Sting, and he was the lead singer of a band called The Police, one of the biggest bands of the 1980s.
Okay.
And they broke up after 4 or 5 albums because they were all like, they were super rich. They were the biggest band in the world, and they were all, they hated each other. They were depressed. They were all getting divorced. They were having drug problems. And Sting then went and had a solo career. And when he started his solo career, he made a film about making his first solo album.
Okay.
And it's on YouTube. It's called Bring On the Night. And in that film, he said something which came out in 84, I think, this film, 84 or 86. He said something which stuck in my mind and I've never forgotten. He said, when I was the most successful, I was the least happy. And he said, and it taught me that success and happiness are not the same thing. And that has been one of the most helpful distinctions I've had. Because there are times when I've been very successful in my whatever, drumming or whatever, and I've been very unhappy. And there are times where I've been really happy, but also unsuccessful. So trying to get the two things to happen at the same time is really hard. And I would also say rare.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is just focus it down onto the day. So now I'm going to have a great day.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Thank you so much for coming and recording episode and inspiring us and also coaching us. This is one of my favorite. I recorded 515.
Oh, thank you.
This is really one of my favorite.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
So keep up the good work.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. It means a lot. Thank you.